On a chilly autumn evening, deep in the heart of a sprawling forest, an unexpected visitor approached a small, cozy cabin. The man inside, a reclusive yet kind-hearted woodsman named Henry, was just settling down for the night. As he stoked the fire, preparing for a quiet evening with his old dog, Max, a strange noise broke the silence of the night. Henry stood up, listening intently. There it was again, a low, mournful growl mixed with what sounded like a whimper. Cautiously, he grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside, Max following closely at his heels. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing the source of the sound. At the edge of the clearing, a massive, wounded bear staggered into view. Her fur was matted with blood, her eyes filled with a mix of pain and desperation. But it wasn't just her presence that made Henry's heart skip a beat. Clutched in her powerful jaws was a tiny, lifeless cub, barely breathing. Henry's mind raced. Bears were dangerous, especially when injured, but the look in the mother bear's eyes wasn't one of aggression. It was a plea, a mother's desperate cry for help. She gently laid her cub on the ground, her strength fading as she collapsed next to him. Max whimpered softly, sensing the gravity of the moment. Henry took a deep breath, his heart pounding. He knew he had to act fast. Without a second thought, he rushed back into the cabin, grabbing his first aid kit and a blanket. Returning to the scene, he moved slowly, speaking in soothing tones. "It's okay, girl. I'm here to help." The bear watched him with wary eyes but didn't move. As Henry knelt beside the cub, he could see the faint rise and fall of its tiny chest. There was still hope. With practiced hands, Henry began to treat the cub's injuries, all the while feeling the mother bear's eyes on him, full of trust and desperation. The bond between them was forming, an unspoken understanding that transcended the boundaries of their species. As the night wore on, Henry worked tirelessly, the flickering light of his flashlight casting long shadows over the scene. He could feel the bear's gaze, a silent reminder of the stakes. Every moment was critical, every action a step towards life or death. And so, under the canopy of stars, in the heart of the forest, a wounded mother's plea met a man's unwavering compassion. It was an encounter that would change their lives forever, setting the stage for a story of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds that unite all living beings. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the dense forest canopy, Henry sat beside the mother bear and her cub, exhaustion etched into his face. The night had been a blur of frantic efforts to stabilize the cub and keep the mother calm. Now, as the sun rose, Henry felt a glimmer of hope. Both bears were alive, but their journey was far from over. Henry knew he couldn't do this alone. His cabin was too remote, too ill-equipped to provide the care these animals needed. But he couldn't ignore the responsibility he felt. The mother bear's trust had been placed in him, and he couldn't let her down. Max nudged Henry's hand as if sensing his inner turmoil. "You're right, boy," Henry said, scratching the dog's ears. "We need to get help." Carefully, he made his way back to the cabin, grabbing his old, battered phone. The nearest wildlife rescue center was miles away, but Henry had a friend there, Sarah, a veterinarian with a heart as big as the wilderness she served. He dialed her number, praying she would answer. "Henry, it's been ages!" Sarah's cheerful voice crackled through the line, a stark contrast to the gravity of the situation. "Sarah, I need your help," Henry said, his voice urgent. "I have a wounded mother bear and her cub at my cabin. They're in bad shape. Can you come?" There was a pause, then Sarah's tone turned serious. "I'll be there as soon as I can. Hang tight, Henry." Henry hung up, a wave of relief washing over him. Help was on the way, but there was still much to do. He returned to the bears, carefully feeding the cub a mixture of warm milk and honey, hoping it would provide some much-needed strength. As the hours passed, the forest seemed to hold its breath, every rustle of leaves and chirp of birds blending into a symphony of waiting. Henry kept himself busy, preparing a makeshift shelter to protect the bears from the elements. The mother bear watched his every move, her eyes a mix of gratitude and pain. Finally, the distant sound of an engine broke the silence. Sarah's truck emerged through the trees, a beacon of hope. She jumped out, her medical bag in hand, and rushed to Henry's side. "Let's see what we're dealing with," she said, her professional demeanor taking over. Together, they assessed the bear's conditions. Sarah's skilled hands worked quickly, cleaning wounds, administering medicine, and offering reassurance to the anxious mother bear. Henry could see the weight of worry lifting from her eyes as she realized her cub was in good hands. "You did a great job, Henry," Sarah said, glancing up at him. "They're going to need a lot of care, but I think they'll pull through." Henry nodded, feeling a sense of purpose wash over him. This wasn't just a chance encounter, it was a call of destiny. He knew in that moment that he would do whatever it took to help these bears heal and find their way back to the wild. And so, the journey began. A journey not just of survival, but of connection, compassion, and the unwavering resolve to protect and nurture the lives that had been entrusted to him. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Sarah worked swiftly, her hands a blur of practiced movements. Henry watched, his heart pounding, as she carefully cleaned and dressed the wounds of the mother bear. The cub, still weak but showing signs of improvement, lay nestled in a soft blanket, its tiny chest rising and falling with each labored breath. Sarah looked up, her eyes meeting Henry's. "We've stabilized them for now, but they're going to need more than just basic care. We need to get them to the rescue center where we can monitor them closely." Henry nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "Whatever it takes, let's get them there." With gentle hands, they lifted the mother bear onto a makeshift stretcher. She let out a low, mournful growl, but didn't resist. Her trust in Henry and Sarah was palpable, a silent testament to the bond that had formed in the past few hours. The cub was carefully placed in a secure carrier, its small body cushioned by soft towels. Loading the bears into Sarah's truck was a delicate operation. Henry and Sarah worked in sync, every movement deliberate and gentle. Once the bears were secure, Henry took a moment to breathe, his eyes scanning the forest that had been his home for so long. This place, usually a sanctuary, had become the backdrop for a story of survival and hope. The drive to the rescue center was tense, every bump and turn a reminder of the fragile lives in their care. Sarah kept glancing in the rearview mirror, checking on the bears, her face a mask of concentration. Henry sat in the passenger seat, his mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. As they approached the center, a sprawling facility nestled in a clearing, the staff rushed out to meet them. Sarah briefed them quickly, and soon the bears were being carried into a specialized medical bay designed to handle wildlife emergencies. Henry followed, feeling a mix of anxiety and relief. Inside, the atmosphere was one of controlled urgency. Vets and volunteers moved efficiently, setting up IV drips, monitoring vital signs, and preparing for any necessary procedures. Sarah took charge, her voice calm and authoritative as she directed the team. Henry stood to the side, his hands clenched into fists, feeling helpless but determined to stay close. The mother bear's eyes met his for a brief moment, and he felt a wave of emotion. This majestic creature, wounded and vulnerable, had placed her faith in him. He wouldn't let her down. Hours passed in a blur of medical equipment and hushed conversations. Finally, Sarah approached Henry, her expression softening. "They're stable. It's going to be a long road, but they're fighters, especially that mother. She's something else." Henry felt a lump in his throat. "Thank you, Sarah, for everything." She smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "This isn't over yet. They're going to need a lot of care and support, and I think they're going to need you too." Henry nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. This was just the beginning. The journey of healing and recovery was ahead of them, but together they would face it all. For the mother bear, for her cub, and for the powerful bond that had brought them together. As the sun set, casting a warm, golden glow over the rescue center, Henry found himself alone in the quiet observation room. The mother bear and her cub were resting in a large enclosure designed to mimic their natural habitat. Soft hay lined the floor, and a gentle breeze wafted through an open window, bringing the fresh scent of pine into the room. Henry pulled up a chair and sat down, his eyes never leaving the bears. The mother bear had settled into a corner, her body curled protectively around her cub. Despite her exhaustion and injuries, there was a serene strength in her presence. She glanced at Henry occasionally, her eyes reflecting a deep, unspoken understanding. Max, Henry's faithful dog, lay at his feet, his head resting on his paws. The room was filled with a hushed stillness, broken only by the soft sounds of the bears breathing and the occasional rustle of hay. Henry leaned back, feeling the weight of the day's events pressing down on him. The exhaustion was bone deep, but he couldn't bring himself to leave. As night fell, the stars began to twinkle outside, their light filtering through the window and casting a gentle glow over the room. Henry's mind drifted to memories of his own childhood, the tales his father used to tell him about the strength and wisdom of bears. He had always felt a kinship with these magnificent creatures, but nothing could have prepared him for this. Around midnight, a soft whimper broke the silence. Henry sat up, his heart quickening. The cub was stirring, its tiny body shivering despite the warmth of its mother's embrace. Henry stood and walked over to the enclosure, carefully opening the gate and stepping inside. "Hey there, little one," he whispered, kneeling beside the cub. He gently placed a hand on its back, feeling the rapid heartbeat beneath his fingers. The mother bear watched him, her eyes filled with trust. Henry retrieved a bottle of warm milk and honey, carefully feeding the cub. It suckled weakly at first, then with growing strength, its tiny paws clutching at the bottle. Henry smiled, a swell of hope rising in his chest. The cub was fighting, just like its mother. As the hours passed, Henry remained by their side, his presence a comforting constant. He dozed off occasionally, only to wake at the slightest sound. The bond between man and beast deepened in those quiet hours, a silent promise of protection and care. Sometime before dawn, the mother bear shifted, nudging her cub closer to Henry. It was a gesture of trust, a silent acknowledgement of his role in their survival. Henry felt a lump in his throat as he gently stroked the cub's fur, marveling at the resilience and strength of these creatures. The first light of morning began to filter into the room, painting everything in a soft, golden hue. Henry stood up, stretching his stiff limbs. He looked at the mother bear and her cub, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and purpose. This night, with its quiet moments and deep connections, would stay with him forever. It was a reminder of the power of compassion, the strength of trust, and the incredible journey that lay ahead. As he stepped outside, the morning air filled his lungs with a renewed sense of hope. This was just the beginning of their story, and he was determined to see it through. The strength of motherhood days turned it into weeks as Henry and the team at the rescue center dedicated themselves to the care of the mother bear and her cub. The wounds on the mother bear's body began to heal, but it was the invisible wounds of her spirit that truly revealed her remarkable strength. Every morning, Henry would arrive at the enclosure to find the mother bear already awake, her eyes alert and watchful. Despite her own pain and fatigue, she was ever vigilant, ensuring her cub was safe and cared for. Her dedication was unwavering, a testament to the fierce love that only a mother could possess. Henry marveled at her resilience. He often found himself sitting quietly, observing the subtle interactions between mother and cub. The cub, now stronger and more curious, would venture a few steps away only to be gently nudged back by its mother. It was a delicate dance of exploration and protection, a balance that the mother bear managed with effortless grace. One particularly cold morning, Henry noticed the mother bear struggling to move. Her injuries, though healing, had left her with limited mobility. The cub, sensing its mother's distress, snuggled closer to her, offering warmth and comfort in its own small way. Henry's heart ached at the sight, a mix of admiration and sorrow. Determined to help, Henry enlisted the aid of the center's physical therapist, a kind woman named Lisa who specialized in animal rehabilitation. Together, they devised gentle exercises to help the mother bear regain her strength. Henry was there every step of the way, encouraging her with soft words and gentle touches. The mother bear, though initially wary, soon began to trust the process. She allowed Henry and Lisa to guide her through the exercises, her eyes always on her cub. The bond between mother and child was a powerful motivator, driving her to push through the pain and discomfort. One afternoon, as Henry was helping her with a particularly challenging stretch, the mother bear did something that took his breath away. She leaned into him, her massive head resting against his shoulder. It was a moment of profound trust, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they had forged. Henry felt tears well up in his eyes as he gently stroked her fur. "You're doing great, Mama Bear," he whispered. "You're stronger than you know." The cub, watching this tender moment, let out a soft, happy grunt and nuzzled its mother. It was a simple yet profound display of love and gratitude, a reminder of the incredible journey they were all on together. As the weeks passed, the mother bear's strength grew, her mobility improving day by day. The cub, now full of energy and mischief, explored its surroundings with newfound confidence. And through it all, the mother bear's eyes never left her child, her love and protection a constant, unwavering force. Henry often found himself reflecting on the lessons he was learning from these incredible creatures. The strength of motherhood, the power of trust, and the resilience of the spirit were lessons that transcended species, touching the very core of what it meant to be alive and connected. The days at the rescue center continued, each one bringing new challenges and triumphs. But in the heart of it all was the unbreakable bond between a mother bear and her cub, a story of love, strength, and the incredible power of motherhood. The bond that, as the days turned into months, the once fragile and tentative relationship between Henry and the mother bear evolved into a profound bond of mutual trust and respect. The mother bear, whom Henry had taken to calling Luna, seemed to understand that this human was there to help, not harm. Her cub, now a playful and curious bundle of energy, had been named Star by the rescue center staff. Every morning, Henry would arrive early, greeted by the sight of Luna and Star waiting near the edge of their enclosure. Star would bound up to the fence, his little paws pressing against the mesh, eager for the treats and attention Henry always brought. Luna, with her dignified calm, would watch from a short distance, her eyes following Henry's every move. Henry had become a constant presence in their lives, his calm demeanor and gentle ways easing their fears and building a bridge of trust. He would sit with them for hours, talking softly, telling them stories about the forest and its creatures, about the stars in the sky that Star was named after. Luna would listen, her head tilted slightly, as if understanding every word. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and pink, Henry decided to try something new. He opened the gate to the inner part of the enclosure and stepped inside, carrying a bucket of fresh berries and honey. Star bounded over immediately, his tiny nose twitching with excitement. Luna watched, her eyes sharp but not alarmed. Henry sat down on the soft grass, spreading the treats out in front of him. Star nuzzled his hand, gobbling up the berries with enthusiasm. Luna approached slowly, her massive frame moving with a grace that belied her size. She sniffed the air, then carefully took a few steps closer, finally settling down a few feet away from Henry. For a moment, they sat there in silence, man and bear, connected by a fragile thread of trust. Henry extended his hand, offering a piece of honeycomb to Luna. She hesitated, then gently took it from his hand, her eyes meeting his in a moment of profound connection. It was a gesture of acceptance, a sign that she recognized him as a friend. Star, ever the playful cub, climbed into Henry's lap, his small body warm and full of life. Henry laughed softly, stroking the cub's soft fur. "You're growing stronger every day, little one," he said, his voice filled with affection. Luna watched this interaction, her eyes softening. Henry could feel the bond between them strengthening, a silent promise of protection and care. This was more than just a duty or a responsibility. It was a relationship built on mutual respect and love. As night fell, the stars began to twinkle in the sky, casting a gentle light over the enclosure. Henry leaned back, his gaze drifting upwards. "Look, Star," he said, pointing to the sky. "That's where you got your name. Those stars up there, they're always watching over us, just like your mama watches over you." Star looked up, his eyes wide with wonder. Luna moved closer to Henry, her massive form settling beside him. She let out a soft, contented huff, a sound that spoke of peace and trust. In that quiet moment, under the vast expanse of the night sky, Henry realized just how deeply they had all come to rely on one another. Luna, Star, and Henry, three very different beings brought together by fate, forging a bond that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. This bond was more than just a connection between man and animal. It was a testament to the power of compassion, the resilience of the spirit, and the profound impact of love and trust. It was a reminder that, in the end, we are all connected, bound by the simple yet powerful desire to care for and protect those we love. The journey of recovery was far from easy. Despite the progress Luna and Star had made, there were still many hurdles to overcome. The harsh winter months were approaching, bringing with them new challenges that tested the strength and resilience of everyone involved. One particularly cold morning, Henry arrived at the rescue center to find Luna moving sluggishly. Her breath came in shallow puffs, and she seemed unable to muster the energy to stand. Star, sensing his mother's distress, whimpered and stayed close by her side. Henry's heart sank as he realized Luna was battling an infection. The center's vet team, led by Sarah, sprang into action. Antibiotics were administered, and Luna was moved to a warmer, more controlled environment. Henry stayed by her side, offering comfort and reassurance. He spoke to her in soothing tones, his presence a constant reminder that she was not alone in her fight. The days that followed were tense and filled with uncertainty. Luna's condition fluctuated, and there were moments when Henry feared they might lose her. Star, though growing stronger every day, seemed to sense the gravity of the situation. He stayed close to Henry, his bright eyes filled with worry. In the midst of this crisis, the bond between Henry and the bears only grew stronger. He spent every waking moment caring for them, ensuring they had everything they needed. The other staff at the center were equally dedicated. their combined efforts a testament to the power of teamwork and compassion. Slowly, Luna began to show signs of improvement. Her strength returned, and the infection began to subside. The relief that washed over Henry was palpable. One afternoon, as he was feeding her a mixture of fish and berries, she managed to stand on her own. It was a small victory, but one that filled Henry's heart with hope. The challenges didn't stop there. The winter brought heavy snowstorms that made access to the center difficult. Supplies ran low, and the team had to work tirelessly to ensure all the animals were safe and well fed. Henry braved the treacherous roads to bring in essential supplies, his determination unwavering. During one particularly fierce storm, the power at the center went out. The staff scrambled to set up emergency generators and heaters to keep the animals warm. Henry took charge, coordinating efforts and making sure Luna and Star were safe and comfortable. The storm raged on outside, but inside the center, there was a sense of unity and resilience. In the midst of these challenges, there were also moments of pure joy. Star, now a lively and curious cub, brought smiles to everyone's faces with his playful antics. He would chase snowflakes, tumble around in the snow, and nuzzle against Henry, his infectious energy a bright spot in the cold winter days. Luna, fully recovered from her infection, regained her strength and vitality. She would watch over Star with a protective eye, but there was also a sense of calm and peace about her. She knew they were in a place where they were loved and cared for, and that made all the difference. The triumphs, though hard-earned, were deeply rewarding. Henry watched with pride as Luna and Star thrived, their bond stronger than ever. He reflected on the journey they had been on, the challenges they had faced, and the incredible resilience they had shown. One evening, as the snow fell gently outside, Henry sat with Luna and Star, the warmth of the enclosure wrapping around them like a blanket. He looked at Luna, her eyes meeting his, with a sense of gratitude and trust that words could never fully capture. Star snuggled up to him, his small body radiating warmth and affection. In that moment, Henry felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The challenges they had faced had only strengthened their bond, and the triumphs were a testament to the power of love, dedication, and the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to give up. The journey was far from over, but with each challenge overcome, they grew stronger together. And that, Henry knew, was the greatest triumph of all. The arrival of spring brought a renewed sense of hope and vitality to the rescue center. The snow melted, revealing a landscape bursting with life and color. For Luna and Star, it was a time of exploration and growth, a chance to reclaim their strength and spirit after the long winter months. One sunny afternoon, Henry decided to take Luna and Star on a walk outside their enclosure, allowing them to experience the fresh air and the vibrant world beyond the fences. With Sarah's approval, he carefully led them to a secure area of the forest, where they could roam freely but safely. Star bounded ahead, his playful energy radiating joy. Luna followed closely, her steps measured but confident. Henry walked beside them, his heart swelling with pride and affection. This was a moment he had dreamed of, seeing Luna and Star thriving, their eyes bright and their spirits unbroken. As they wandered through the forest, something extraordinary happened. Luna stopped suddenly, her nose twitching as she sniffed the air. She let out a low, rumbling growl, not of warning but of recognition. Henry watched in amazement as another bear, a large male, emerged from the trees. Henry's first instinct was to protect Luna and Star, but he quickly realized that Luna knew this bear. There was a familiarity in the way she approached him, a sense of calm and connection. The male bear, towering and powerful, responded with a gentle nuzzle, his eyes softening as he took in Luna's presence. Henry stood back, witnessing this intimate reunion. He realized that this must be Luna's mate, the father of Star. The male bear had likely been searching for them, drawn by some instinctual pull to his family. The scene was both powerful and tender, a reminder of the deep bonds that exist in the animal kingdom. Star, curious and unafraid, approached the male bear. With a gentle nudge, the male bear acknowledged his cub, their interaction filled with a quiet wonder. Henry felt a lump in his throat as he watched the family reunite, the love and connection between them palpable. For the rest of the afternoon, Henry kept a respectful distance, allowing the bears to reconnect. He marveled at the silent communication between them, the way they moved and interacted with such grace and understanding. It was a touching revelation, a glimpse into the profound emotional lives of these majestic creatures. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the forest, Henry knew it was time to return to the center. With a gentle call, he signaled to Luna and Star. The male bear watched them go, his eyes lingering on his family until they disappeared from view. Back at the enclosure, Luna and Star seemed more at peace, their spirits uplifted by the reunion. Henry sat with them, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. This experience had shown him the incredible resilience and emotional depth of the bears, their capacity for love and connection mirroring that of humans. That evening, as Henry reflected on the day's events, he felt a profound sense of wonder. The bond he had witnessed between Luna, Star, and the male bear was a testament to the power of family and the unbreakable ties that bind us all, regardless of species. The touching revelations of that day stayed with Henry, a reminder of the extraordinary journey he had been a part of. It was a story of love, resilience, and the enduring strength of the bonds we share with those we hold dear. As spring transitioned into summer, the rescue center thrived with the renewed energy of all its inhabitants. Luna and Star, now fully integrated into their surroundings, had become symbols of hope and resilience. Their story had touched the hearts of many, drawing attention and support to the center. One warm evening, as Henry was preparing to close up for the night, he received an urgent call from Sarah. "Henry, you need to come to the center right away," she said, her voice tense but excited. "There's something you need to see." Henry rushed to the center, his mind racing with possibilities. When he arrived, he found Sarah waiting for him outside the main building, her face lit with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. She led him to Luna and Star's enclosure, where a small group of staff had gathered, their expressions mirroring Sarah's. Inside the enclosure, Luna was pacing back and forth, a behavior Henry hadn't seen in her before. Star, usually so playful and curious, was staying close to his mother, sensing her agitation. Henry's heart pounded as he stepped closer, trying to understand what was happening. Then he saw it. At the far end of the enclosure, the gate was open, not broken or forced, but deliberately opened. Henry's breath caught in his throat. Someone had come, and they had left an invitation for Luna and Star to leave. Before he could react, there was a rustle in the bushes near the open gate. The male bear, Luna's mate, appeared, his powerful form moving with purpose. He approached Luna and Star, and for a moment they stood together, a family reunited once more. Henry's heart swelled with a mix of emotions, joy, fear, hope. He realized that this was it, the moment they had all been working towards. Luna and Star were ready to return to the wild, to reclaim their place in the world beyond the rescue center. Sarah placed a hand on Henry's shoulder. "It's time, Henry," she said softly. "They're ready." With a deep breath, Henry nodded. He approached Luna, who had stopped pacing and was watching him with those wise, trusting eyes. He knelt down, speaking to her in a voice choked with emotion. "You've come so far, Luna. It's time for you and Star to go home." Luna seemed to understand. She nuzzled Henry gently, a gesture of gratitude and farewell. Star, sensing the significance of the moment, bounded over to Henry, nuzzling against his leg. Henry hugged the cub tightly, tears streaming down his face. The staff opened the gate fully, creating a clear path to the forest beyond. Luna, with one last look at Henry, began to move towards the open gate. Star followed, looking back at Henry with wide, curious eyes. The male bear took up the rear, guiding his family towards freedom. Henry and the staff watched as the bears disappeared into the trees, their forms merging with the shadows of the forest. The air was filled with a profound silence, the weight of the moment hanging heavy. As the last traces of the bears vanished, Henry felt a surge of pride and sadness. This was the great turnaround, the culmination of months of hard work, love, and dedication. Luna and Star were going home, where they belonged. The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had all led to this moment of triumph. The bond between Henry and the bears would never be broken, their story etched into his heart forever. Henry stood there for a long time, staring into the forest, feeling the weight of the goodbye and the promise of new beginnings. It was a moment of bittersweet victory, a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the enduring spirit of the wild. Life lessons with Luna and Star now free in the wild, Henry returned to his daily routine at the rescue center, though nothing felt quite the same. Their absence left a palpable void, but it also brought a sense of fulfillment. He had helped two magnificent creatures reclaim their lives, and that accomplishment was a beacon of hope and inspiration. One evening, as Henry sat by the fireplace in his cabin, he reflected on the profound journey he had been a part of. The lessons he had learned from Luna and Star were invaluable, each one etched deeply into his heart. First and foremost, the importance of compassion. Luna had arrived at his doorstep, injured and desperate, with her cub barely clinging to life. Her eyes, filled with a silent plea for help, had awakened in Henry a fierce determination to aid them. That compassion had driven him through sleepless nights and countless challenges, teaching him that the power to make a difference lies within each of us. Secondly, he learned the strength of resilience. Luna and Star had faced insurmountable odds, yet they had fought with every breath to survive. Their journey from the brink of death to freedom was a testament to the indomitable will to live and thrive. It reminded Henry that no matter how difficult the circumstances, the human spirit and the animal spirit can endure and overcome. Henry also learned the value of trust. The bond he had built with Luna was based on mutual respect and understanding. It wasn't something that happened overnight, but rather through countless moments of patience and care. Luna's eventual trust in him was a powerful reminder that trust must be earned and nurtured, whether between humans or between man and beast. The experience also highlighted the significance of interconnectedness. Luna's story brought people together, from the staff at the rescue center to the community that rallied behind their tale. It was a reminder that we are all part of a larger tapestry, and our actions can have far-reaching impacts. Helping one can inspire many, creating ripples of kindness and support that spread far and wide. Perhaps the most profound lesson was the realization that love transcends boundaries. The love Henry felt for Luna and Star was no different from the love he had for his family and friends. It was a pure, selfless love that sought only to nurture and protect. This love, he realized, was a universal force, bridging the gap between species and reminding us of our shared humanity. As Henry stared into the flickering flames, he felt a deep sense of peace. The journey with Luna and Star had changed him in ways he couldn't have imagined. It had opened his heart, broadened his perspective, and deepened his appreciation for the natural world. A soft rustling at the cabin door pulled Henry from his thoughts. Max, his loyal dog, nudged the door open and padded over to him, resting his head on Henry's knee. Henry smiled, scratching Max behind the ears. "You've been with me through it all, haven't you, buddy?" he said softly. Max's tail wagged, a silent affirmation of their unbreakable bond. Henry stood up, feeling the warmth of the fire and the love of his faithful companion. He walked over to the window and gazed out at the starry night sky, thinking of Luna and Star somewhere out there, living their lives in the wild. In that moment, Henry made a silent promise to continue his work at the rescue center, to keep fighting for the animals who needed him, and to honor the lessons he had learned. He knew that life would continue to present challenges, but armed with the wisdom and strength gained from his journey with Luna and Star, he felt ready to face whatever came his way. And so, as the night wrapped its serene embrace around him, Henry stood as a testament to the enduring power of compassion, resilience, trust, interconnectedness, and love. His heart was full, his spirit unyielding, and his soul forever touched by the unforgettable story of a mother bear, her cub, and the incredible journey they had shared.